At 3:11 in the afternoon, the cul-de-sac WhatsApp chat exploded with panicked messages. The video showed a white HOA golf cart fishtailing down Alderrest Drive, 2 board members clinging to patio umbrellas like they were parachutes, and President Mara Yates shrieking at the top of her lungs that it was only a minor slippage. Behind them, the entire hillside was peeling away like fondant sliding off a hot cake. My hand-painted sign that read "Road Closed Active Slide" snapped clean in half and surfed down the mudslide like a disappointed surfboard. This was the moment I'd warned them about for 6 straight months, and they'd driven right into it anyway. My name is Caleb Royce, and I bought the cedar A-frame house at the top of Alderrest Drive for 3 simple reasons: the quiet, the birds, and the way morning fog sits in the valley like a sleeping cat. I'm a geotechnical engineer by trade, which means I study soil, rock, and how things stay standing or why they don't. I've spent 15 years analyzing hillsides, designing retaining systems, and testifying as an expert witness in failure cases. By lifestyle, I'm a porch coffee enjoyer who values peace and common sense. Our HOA, Ridgeview Overlook, is ruled with an iron fist by Mara Yates. She has highlights sharp enough to cut glass, a clipboard with her name engraved on it in gold lettering, perfectly manicured nails that she points like weapons during board meetings, and an unshakable belief that gravity itself will submit to homeowner bylaws. My crime in her eyes? Warning her repeatedly and in writing that the winter rains had completely soaked the slope behind our street, that the sub-drain system was clogged beyond repair, and that the decorative retaining wall everyone loved was doing the structural equivalent of jazz hands. It looked pretty, but it wasn't holding back anything. I sent Marla detailed emails with soil diagrams, boring logs from when I tested the hillside myself, and professional calculations including something called factor of safety. She replied to every single one with violation notices. I got fined $250 for unsightly caution tape. I got fined another $300 for alarmist signage. I even got fined $500 for negative community tone, which apparently is a thing you can be penalized for when your HOA president doesn't like hearing bad news. She mandated that I remove the temporary sandbags I'd placed along the slope in favor of river rock that matches the community palette. The sandbags were working. The river rock was decorative nonsense. She replaced my orange safety fencing with tasteful burlap that she decorated with lavender sprigs like we were hosting a garden party instead of preventing a geological disaster. She even sent me a formal letter saying my safety measures were creating an atmosphere of fear that violated the community covenant section on maintaining property values through positive aesthetics. Meanwhile, her beautification task force decided to pressure wash all the moss off the common stairwell. They did this with the confidence of toddlers and the water budget of a small nation, and they sprayed everything directly into the clogged drain I had specifically flagged in 3 separate reports. I installed a tilt sensor on the hillside to monitor ground movement and posted the data in the community portal every week. Marla called my graphs fake news and circulated a glossy flyer that said in bold letters, "Do not let fearmongers devalue our homes. The hillside is stable." We had a consultant look at it in 2008. The flyer had a photo of the hillside on a sunny day with a rainbow overlay. I wish I was joking. Then the atmospheric river came. For those who don't know, that's basically a fire hose of rain aimed at California from the Pacific Ocean, and it doesn't stop for days. My tilt sensor started pinging alerts to my phone. 2 degrees of movement. Then 3.5 degrees. Then 5 degrees, which in geotechnical terms means you need to evacuate immediately. Hairline cracks appeared across Alderrest Drive like someone had drawn them with a Sharpie. They spiderwebbed across the asphalt in patterns that made my stomach drop. I filed an emergency report with the County Geohazards Unit and copied the HOA on every email. I called Marla directly and told her in the calmest voice I could manage that we needed to close the road right now. Marla's response was to schedule an on-site positivity walk. She sent out a community-wide email explaining that we needed to model calm for everyone and show confidence in our infrastructure. She accused me in the email of spreading panic and mentioned that several homeowners had contacted her worried about their property values declining because of my alarmist attitude. She insisted that the entire board take the golf cart down Alderrest Drive to demonstrate that there was nothing to worry about. She said, and I saved this email, that they would prove the road was perfectly safe by driving the entire length of it while smiling and waving. They rolled right past my road-closed sawhorses. They moved the orange cone I had physically wedged into a developing sinkhole. One board member actually kicked my caution tape aside and said something about following proper channels. My neighbor Tina was filming from behind my Subaru because she had a bad feeling, and thank God she did, because what happened next was almost impossible to believe. The road let go. The pavement just gave up and turned into a waterslide made of liquefied clay. The golf cart started slaloming sideways like it was on an ice rink, except the ice was mud and the rink was a 40-degree slope. Marla was screaming and holding her palm out toward the hillside like she was Moses trying to part the Red Sea, except instead of water it was a few thousand tons of soil that had stopped caring about her authority. 3 board members discovered in real time what the term lateral spread means, and it is not a gentle learning experience. The HOA mailbox cluster, which was bolted into the ground at the bottom of the hill, rode the landslide like a toboggan and crashed directly into Marla's prized hydrangea garden. Nobody died, which is a miracle, but we had 2 sprained ankles, 1 dislocated shoulder, and several dislocated egos. Sirens. County emergency trucks. A geotechnical engineer I used to intern under during college stepped out of one of the vehicles, took one look at the burlap safety garlands flapping in the wind, and asked out loud, "Who decorated this hazard?" The county cordoned off the entire block with actual professional barriers and started reviewing all of my emails to the HOA. They pulled up the meeting minutes where Marla had specifically denied the budget line item for drain jetting because, and I quote from the official record, "we would rather invest in brand-standard pergolas for the common area." The county sheriff asked who had authorized breaching a barricaded road. Everyone turned and looked at Marla, who tried to blame a rogue volunteer while she was still wearing a sash that said Positivity Walk Lead in glittery letters. The county hit the HOA with an emergency abatement order and a formal citation for obstruction of public safety measures. The hearing was 3 weeks later, and we came prepared. I brought printed copies of the tilt sensor logs with timestamps. I brought photos showing the progression of the cracks. I brought the flyer Marla had made promising slope serenity with that rainbow. Tina had edited the golf cart video down to 2 minutes of pure chaos and queued it up on her laptop. The room was packed with neighbors clutching coffee cups like they were in church. Marla showed up in a business suit with her lawyer, a nervous-looking man who kept trying to interrupt with procedural objections that the judge kept overruling. Marla's consultant, who she'd hired the Sunday night after the slide, testified under oath that the 2008 memo she'd been waving around for months was actually for a completely different hillside in a completely different subdivision across town. You could hear people gasping in the gallery. The county engineer got up and explained in very gentle, kindergarten-level words that gravity does not recognize HOA jurisdictions or bylaws. He brought a demonstration model showing how water saturates soil and reduces shear strength. Marla's lawyer objected to the demonstration. The judge asked if he was objecting to physics. The judge reviewed the county statute about interfering with road closures and emergency safety measures. Then he played the video clip where Marla physically moved my traffic cone and said on camera, "Cones are a suggestion, not a rule." The gavel came down hard. The court appointed an independent receiver to take over all common area maintenance and repairs. They ordered immediate drain clearing, installation of soil nails, and construction of an actual engineered retaining system. Then came the part that made Marla's face turn the color of old chalk. The judge made the HOA, and specifically Mara Yates by name for her personal actions, liable for damages to 3 homes, repair of the public right-of-way, and all county emergency response costs. Marla resigned from the board 2 days later with a public statement about toxic negativity and how she'd been trying her best for the community. The receiver stapled her resignation letter to an invoice for $842,000 in emergency stabilization costs, plus attorney fees, plus a $15,000 civil penalty for tampering with safety devices. The judge also barred her from serving on any HOA board or holding any fiduciary role for the next 10 years. Her community service sentence was 180 hours, and the county assigned her to work at the Sandbag Depot, the same facility that distributes the orange sandbags she had once called visual pollution in a board meeting. She now spends her weekends handing them out to residents preparing for storms, wearing a volunteer vest and learning exactly why engineers put up caution tape.